And I just want to give a shout out to all of the white men around the world. Y'all are beautiful, sexy, handsome, and scrumptious. You hear me? I will swallow you whole, girl. I don't even need to chew. I just wanted to say happy Father's Day to all of the white men and Hispanic men out there. And the Italians. Sprinkle, sprinkle. You know that I'm always here for you. And none of you could ever change my mind. White men will always be my type. Will always be my type. Black men, you could keep them on the shelf. Like, I don't, even if you put them for sale, 2 for $50, I'm still not buying it. White men, you give me white. There's something about white men. It's the ones that look good and take care of themselves. It's just something about them. Oh my God, it's something sexy when you telling me, yeah, like, how much is your debt? I'll put $25K down. You don't even gotta worry about it. You want to eat tonight? Don't even take out your debit card. When you date black men, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They talk about, can we split it? I'm not doing that.
Hi, it's me, the anti-black Barbie, the all-watchful eye of anti-blackness. So, as you can tell, we've got a white man's whore on the loose. All jokes aside, though, as pitiful as I find this behavior, I still try to remind myself to view these things as a case-by-case basis. Because if it were somebody who were conventionally attractive coming online and reminding us constantly that they have a preference for whiteness, I would have far less sympathy for this person and more than likely respond in a lot more hostile way. But I think that when I see people who wouldn't be considered conventionally attractive kind of lashing out or using their platforms as a way to antagonize or a coping mechanism to deal with like some kind of unresolved trauma, then I try to have a little bit more of an understanding. But it's not to say that I'm excusing this behavior, because I do find it deplorable, but it's just more to say that I can understand why. We are witnessing somebody who is more than likely the recipient of a lot of anti-blackness, a lot of fat phobia, and a lot of femphobia, and possibly more. And I could be wrong. This person could very well just be a white man's whore. But in my experience, when I feel like you speak to people who are not necessarily conventionally attractive, they tend to lead very isolated lives, because people in society place a very high importance on whether you're attractive, whether it's from a friendship standpoint, a family standpoint, co-workers, relationships, jobs, institutions. And then, of course, we have to add in the layer of also needing to be masculine, which only exacerbates this issue as well. And this situation has actually made me realize that a lot of Black people do this as well. What they'll do is they'll make these accounts and they'll make these constant announcements for preferring whiteness to try and reclaim their power in a situation where they didn't feel valued or seen or heard because they were Black. So now they want to go ahead and inflict this feeling onto others. And it's just really unfortunate, because rather than trying to heal from a horrible situation that may have happened to them, they do this really weird thing where they make dating outside their race their entire personality. And I'm not even the kind of person who cares if you decide to date outside your race because you may have had a bad experience. But when you come online and do nothing but use your platform to tell how horrible we are of a group as a collective and try to convince others to feel the same, is when I start to have a problem. Because it's one thing to just date outside your race, but it's another for you to use your time and your energy to put out false narratives to try and convince others to also feel the same. Like, she's got an entire video of her saying that she can't even pay $259 off her credit card bill, but is expecting us to believe that white men are tricking her out like that. No. And I say all of this to say that I've seen this happen in my personal life and online so many times, where you'll see these people constantly bragging about how much money these men have, but then it's like the minute they need someone to pay a light bill, they're nowhere to be found. Like, which one is it? Do these men have money or do they not? And this is one of the biggest reasons why I'm so passionate about using my platform to talk about these things, because these messages are not just hitting 1 or 2 people. They're hitting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. And as I said before, if you disrespect me publicly, then the reaction has to be equally as loud, because what you can't do is allow these people with massive followings to spread anti-Black messaging that is going to ultimately influence not only people who are impressionable, but our upcoming youth who may be insecure or on the fence about these topics. So when people ask me why I'm talking about these subjects, I really don't know how to properly respond. It's like, okay, maybe if I don't come online and am reminded at least 5 to 10 times per day that someone has a preference for whiteness, then maybe I'll consider not talking about these subjects every 3 to 5 business days. But until then, it seems like there's a lot of work to be done. Like, when is the last time someone saw a person who looked like Damon Salvatore spending his money on somebody who looked like this? And again, it's not to throw shade at her, because I think that she is a cute girl and I think that she'd be more than able to find somebody in the Black community. But it's just to really say that there's a very high importance on fat phobia, on colorism, on anti-Blackness when it comes to interracial dating. So 9 times out of 10, if you do see somebody who is of a higher caliber dating a Black person, it's typically going to be somebody who is lighter skinned, who is more fit, who has a lot more social capital than this person does. Because let's just be real about it. In what world would any white man be providing you $25K to pay off your debt? And you know what? I'm not going to even try and sound like a hater, because I don't know her personal experience, and maybe she's just got it like that. But from my experience and what I understand, the average white man is not going to be putting his time and money into someone who necessarily looks like that, especially when he has so much access and privilege to the cream of the crop of Black people. It's like, if we understand that decrepit old white men are able to get the cream of the crop young Black athletes without even really having to pay, why would we be under the impression that they would now be just spending $25K on somebody who isn't even necessarily valued in their own community? And it's really not to be shady towards her, but I've heard this talking point so many times, and a lot of Black bottoms have this like thing in their mind where they think that white men are like spending money on them, and they're really not. Like, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. Unless you are getting like some 80-year-old sugar daddy, they're not sitting here spending money on Black bottoms like that. They're barely even spending money on the white ones. Now, as a disclaimer, yes, the average white man is more than likely going to have a car, going to have an apartment, more than likely may be able to do the basic things like take you out to dinner, but these are all the effects of slavery and colonialism. So to prop it as if this is some kind of achievement is just asinine to me. And you know what? I'm always willing to meet people halfway. I can always understand and agree that Black dating is not for the weak. And if it's not for you, I completely and utterly respect that. I just feel like when we go into these conversations and we do these things about how, you know, white men have so much more money, or they're so much more generous, or, you know, people go into these things saying that, you know, Black men are broke and have no drive. I think that we do have to understand that there's a lot of variables and reasons as to why these things are happening. White men have astronomically more advantages and more support systems because they didn't have to go through slavery. Their ancestors didn't have to fight to just have basic things like cars or homes. You know, most of the time when they're born, their parents already own a home and already own several cars because they were passed down from their parents. So I just feel like it's like when we go into these things and we just say these really ridiculous, like, you know, comments, it's like there is a reason to why these things are happening. Now, you don't necessarily have to stick around and deal with it, but it's like framing it in such a way that it's just like, you know, so dishonest. It's never going to sit right with me. But what kills me about it all is that despite this person doing nothing but proclaiming their love for white men, there's really no white men in their comment section. I don't see a white man on her arm, and it doesn't seem like it's getting her anywhere. So it's just like, I mean, you're coming on here publicly embarrassing yourself for what? And it's like, okay, we understand that your life sucked, and, you know, you're clearly not happy with it. And you know what? That's perfectly reasonable in an anti-Black, anti-fat society, anti-femphobic society. But I just feel like once we get to a place where we feel like we need to use our platforms to spread negativity and to try and antagonize is where I feel like we should start to draw the line. I think it's perfectly reasonable to share your experiences if they are negative. However, I feel like if the intent is to try and make others feel as bad as you do, then we should probably leave it in the drafts. But I've beaten it like a dead horse. Please let me know what you all think. And if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in the next one.